For us, good evening for some of you guys. Welcome back to our little online classes. In the light of current affairs, I have been teaching people how to be healthy for most of my life, since I learned as a young man. And it's possible for everyone to have a strong immune system, and what's happening in the world is people who don't have a good, strong immune system are susceptible to this virus. So we strengthen the system. Not difficult, takes a certain amount of effort and discipline as far as watching your diet for one thing, staying away from sugar and carcinogenic foods like red meat. This is traditionally part of yoga, is watching your diet, staying pretty clean with everything, and then we add the breath to it. From the physiological perspective, bringing in enough breath, enough oxygen into the bloodstream, together with good nutrition coming from your digestive system, the cells become quite healthy. So we work again today with movement and breath. Now the breath is what brings the air into your lungs. From your lungs, the oxygen goes into the bloodstream, and then as we move, circulation is increased everywhere in the body so that that oxygen gets distributed everywhere it needs to go. And we have been focusing on center of the chest. This is what we call Anahata Chakra area. The energy in this area, in the pulmonary and cardiac plexi, the nerve groups, the energy is that of Anahata. It's an energy of expansion. And in this area is heart, lungs, and the Thymus Gland, which is the gland that figures out what to do with any kind of a new bacteria or bug or virus, how to keep the body healthy. It's essentially it's also like a janitor that sweeps out the body when we're not busy digesting and when we're not too active, when we are not too stressed. So we need to de-stress ourselves, relax, and enable this gland to do its job. In many people that has become quite dormant, so we reactivate it with these specific yoga practices. So let's begin by feeling this area. So this is an important aspect of yoga. You're paying attention. So we're feeling this area right in the middle of our chest, and from here we feel the expansion, contraction. That's exactly what it is, and we concentrate on feeling that right from the center of your chest where your heart is. Feel the ribs going out to the side and back in. See if you can stay with the feeling. Our attention remains here. In normal life, mind jumps in and starts thinking about something, analyzing. Feeling is different. We focus on the feeling. The feeling is here and now. Experience of the moment. This also is part of what activates the autoimmune system. Now, in dealing with the same area of the lungs, we add a little bit of very simple and gentle movement. We're going to lean over, bend over to the side, And notice how when you do this, you're actually compressing the lung on the one side. Your ribs are being squeezed together, and the ribs on this side are being expanded. So this is creating movement and circulation right within the lungs themselves. And let's just recall that this coronavirus is affecting the lungs primarily. So when we keep our lungs very healthy and capable, it cannot really get in there and do any damage. So bending over to the side, we're going to now take a breath, bring the arm up and over. In breath and out breath. Your other hand can be out to the side on the floor, stabilizing you. We come back to center. Inhale. Exhale. Simple movements. Whichever way you're sitting. Again, you can be doing this sitting in a chair if you're not familiar with yoga and all the sitting poses. The movement is inhalation, exhalation. Your attention remains on feeling what's happening here. One lung is being squeezed as we compress the ribs on that side. The other one is being expanded. This motion of the lungs themselves keeps everything flowing to all parts of the lungs, from the bottom all the way up. Once more on each side. Feel that the breath is as deep as you can, and you're squeezing out everything as much as you can. Okay. Place your hands now on the ribs. And again, you're using the hands to feel the motion of the ribs. But now, on the exhalation, we're going to use the hands to actually squeeze the ribs in a little bit, forcing more of the air out, more than we can with just the intercostal muscles that do the squeezing. So feel this expansion and contraction. And as we do the contraction, we're going to be a little more aggressive and forceful to really eliminate anything from the lungs, including any bad air, carbon dioxide, because your lungs are kind of an open to the outside atmosphere. This is where germs, bugs, bacteria, viruses can come in and how things are transmitted. So we eliminate everything so nothing stays inside that shouldn't be inside of us. So the inhalation is a little bit slower and more full as much as possible. The exhalation, more dramatic squeezing out. Let's take it in breath and out. Now let's take it a little bit faster. So the in-breath remains not too dramatically fast, because if you try and go too fast, it ends up being not deep enough. And you want to have it still quite deep. On the exhalation, it's faster. So listen, you can hear how I do it and watch my ribs moving. How does that feel? We're staying in touch with how everything feels as we do this. Notice the sensation of the expansion, contraction. As I mentioned in a previous little video, the feeling of the expansion is the feeling of the energy of Anahata Chakra. This same feeling, what we are feeling, is an energy, a force that creates this expansion and sensation. And it is the same energy that empowers the whole autoimmune system to expand. The feeling of expansion is a trigger that creates elimination of anything foreign in our body, anything that doesn't belong in us is eliminated if we have enough of this particular power. From Anahata Chakra, expansion, essentially it's scientifically called repulsion, and air molecules get close and then they push each other apart. That's how we blow air into a balloon and it expands. We're putting air into our lungs and that is expanding. We start by creating the vacuum, and we're going to go into a couple of other techniques that are more forceful to really push the oxygen out to every area of the lungs. What we were doing with this side to side, we're going to do again, but we're going to add a retention. This is called a kumbhaka in yoga in Sanskrit. It's a held in breath. So we're taking in the breath as we come up to here. Now we're locking it in, going into this bend without letting the air out. If you're doing this effectively and you don't let the air out, you feel all the air in one lung on one side is being pushed into the other lung, creating a greater expansion of that lung because of the air pressure. And then we let it out when we come back. Take another breath, bring the other arm up, and we go to the opposite side. Full breath, lock it in. Inhale, lock, bend. Your attention is on feeling exactly what's going on. All of the sensation, the air being pushed from one side over to the other. See if you can feel the expansion. It might even feel like a little bit of pressure going into the one side. It is. We are pressuring the air onto that side, into that lung. Couple more times. In breath, lock in. Okay, relax. Take a complete breath and let it go, and let's move out of position. Change our leg position. If you're sitting in a chair or whatever, just loosely relax, and we go into another simple movement. All of these movements we're synchronizing with breathing one way or the other, either in or out. So we'll take an in breath here, and a simple twist going to the opposite side. Your left hand goes to the right knee, and your hand and arm are pulling the shoulder around. The other hand goes to the floor and it's pushing the other shoulder back. So effectively twisting you more. You're exhaling all that way. Come back here. A very full breath to the center. Exhale to the other side. Contemplate what we're doing. We're filling up and then we're squeezing the whole torso area, effectively squeezing more of the air out. All of the internal organs are open and relaxed in the forward as we take in the breath, and as we squeeze and compress, everything is being squeezed. So this is creating a pressure and release to all of the internal organs. Circulation going faster and better through all these places. Notice how it feels. It probably feels very good to do this. You are oxygenating all of your internal organs. Every cell inside is happy to have its little share of the oxygen. And with the squeezing, we are pushing out any carbon dioxide, any foreign materials, even any viruses that might be floating around. They will be dealt with. Back to center, take a breath and let it go. The next position we do is called Viagra. And I'll do it sideways, McKinley will do it facing you so you can see it, how it looks from different angles. You have your knees apart, just let's say to the outside of your hips. And your hands out just to the outside of your shoulders. You could have your knees a little further apart. Okay, so it's a good squared off rectangular position with hands and feet. And then we bend downward. Head and tailbone are going up. So the arch is completely like this. This is our inhalation. Our lungs are expanded to their maximum capability as we do this. So we can take in more air than usual. On the out breath, we arch up, which is kind of a bent and slouched position. This compresses the lungs and helps to squeeze everything out. We've done this before, and hopefully you've been practicing a bit of this, and you have more motion than last time, and more of an airflow in and out of the lungs. Feel. We are creating an experience, and our attention stays on perceiving that experience. There is no intellect needed for this, nothing to think about. One of the big keys in yoga is to stay focused on the experience of feeling your body. Keep doing it for a few more times. In normal life, for most people, we use less than 10%, 1/10 of our normal lung capacity. As we do this, because of the movement of the whole torso, the chest expanding, contracting, we can use up to 100% of our lungs. So 10 times more oxygen can be getting into the blood, 10 times more elimination of carbon dioxide. Slow, deep breathing in this way is incredibly beneficial for the whole body, all systems, including the autoimmune system. Okay, we're going to speed this up a little bit. I'm going to make it more dynamic by taking my leg into the motion, to the back, and then up. This is going to be, it's the same in-breath here. On the exhalation, I'm swinging under. And this swing, bringing my knee all the way up to my chest, is compressing, helping to pump out all of the oxygen. pump out all of the air, and the carbon dioxide, which becomes the majority of what's in our lungs. Inhalation, exhalation. And doing it at a certain pace and speed that is really having a radical effect on the lungs, filling up and emptying, a rapid airflow, getting everything moving. Of course, the whole motion of the torso is creating immense circulation of not only the blood but the whole lymphatic system. How does this feel? If you need extra padding, you put a cushion under your knees or something. We have a lot of weight just on our knees and on our hands and wrists as we do this. Take a break if you need to. Let's just sit back up, relax, move your wrists, hands. We go back to it and we do the same on the opposite side. Back to that all fours position. Inhalation, the leg goes to the back and then we lift it up. Swinging under on the exhalation, pumping out. Keep it going, you're focused on feeling. It's dynamic and radical. Pumping everything out, squeezing. Now relax down, coming back to the seated position. We do what is called a cleansing breath. Although the last thing we did with this pumping, the knee coming to your chest, is effectively a cleansing breath. This one you can apply any time of the day without getting down on all fours, and it's taking a complete, as full a breath as you can, whatever that is, and you blast it out all in one, and this time out through the mouth. That's good. You only need to do 3 or 4, and that effectively eliminates all the carbon dioxide from not only your lungs but from the bloodstream. So then we come into the next section of the breath, which is upper. Here you're feeling the shoulders kind of rise. The whole chest is coming up as one unit. And to get in touch with this feeling, we can move the shoulders around, let your arms go whichever way they want to go with this. Obviously, on the lift, we're creating more space inside, so the air can go into the lungs at the uppermost level, the upper lobes of the lungs, as it's called. So you can exaggerate it a little bit with the lifting of the shoulders. Now, in addition to this, we did last time, if you were present last time, we also did the motion pulling the shoulders backwards and then kind of slouching them forward. Now I show you from the side. The most effective way is to put those two together. We can do that in rotational movements, but as a simplified way of doing it, it's going diagonally, because up and back is the greatest expansion of the chest and rib cage. And when you go forward and down to the slouching position is the most compressed, the best elimination. So we go both ways, just diagonally with the shoulders up and back, and then forward and down. Allow your body to move back and forth as you do this, and this is maximum capacity for your lungs. Are you still feeling? Notice if your mind starts thinking something. Away from thinking into feeling, no matter what the thought is, even if it's a positive thought, let it go sometimes. And obviously if it's a worrisome thought or a fear, if you focus on feeling something, you take your attention away from the fear, away from the worry, even if it's just momentarily. And if you do this enough time, your conscious awareness will not be hypnotized into a whirlpool of worry and fearful thoughts. This is part of the practice in yoga, directing your attention to something positive. In this case, the sensation of this moving, the flow of the breath. If your mind begins thinking, you think about, what am I doing? I'm bringing fresh, clean, beautiful air into my lungs. I'm feeding my bloodstream with good oxygen, and I'm eliminating all the carbon dioxide and any toxic material from my lungs, from my bloodstream. So why do we breathe through our nose? This is an aspect of yoga that people don't always consider. Breathing is mentioned, but needs to be mentioned much more. Paying attention to the breath with everything is an important connection. The synchronization of the breath to motion is part of natural cycle. When we lived completely in nature, we were very active. The activation made us breathe more deeply, but because we have sit-down jobs where the body is not active, just moving your fingers on a keyboard does not stimulate deeper breathing. So we forget. The oxygen level drops, the CO2 level rises, the immune system doesn't work in that situation. So let's make an effort to change that. You need to make the effort. So back to the breathing through the nose. One of the reasons is as we breathe through the nose, the air goes up through the air passages, around the sinuses and different areas. And in the breathing mechanism, we have what's called the olfactory bulbs on each side for each nostril. And these have like 50,000 nerve terminals that are sensitive and touching where the air is going by. And they actually pick up energy. I mentioned electrons as this is what the essence of prana. It's the same thing as electricity. Electrons in the jungle air out here, the air is rich in oxygen, and the oxygen atoms go together usually in little molecules where two oxygen atoms hang out together, and they have extra electrons in them. And when this air goes in through your nose, the extra electron, which is pure energy, goes directly into the nervous system from the olfactory bulb, and there's a big nerve that goes right to the back of the brain where it's absorbed. So this is a charge. This is how we charge the nervous system, the brain, the prana. It's called in yoga The Chinese know it as qi. Western medicine hasn't even figured this out yet. Again, we've used all our technology, all our energy knowledge for technology, not understanding we are also technological beings. We have energy movement, and this prana is considered just as important in yoga, if not more important than the oxygen which feeds the body. The prana is what feeds the mind. So yesterday I put out a video on quantum physics and chakras and prana stuff. It's just now on YouTube if you want to look deeper into this. We are energetic beings, and we need to consider this. We've completely missed the point of the revolution of the last 100 years about energy. We need to access the energy personally, not with machinery, technology, and everything which is usually going towards warfare. So, take in a breath through your nose, feel the air coming in your nose and going in through your head, and then out again. Breathing as deep as you can. Just for a minute, see if you can pay enough attention to feel. If you do this, you'll notice that the air coming in feels a little bit cooler than the air as it comes back out. Some of the air is different. Some of it is CO2 that is warm because it's been going through your body and it's in your lungs. A couple more breaths. Keep your attention. Feel the air in your nose, up through your head, and down into your lungs. Paying attention to what's happening with the breath, paying attention to our bodies is part of what we need to do at this time. On a more universal and cosmic level, we've had to shut down our busyness, our usual activities, and we all have time in our solitude to contemplate, to practice these things, and to think about what we are doing with our body, with our minds, with our life. Okay, let's go into a little bit more motion, just so we don't fall asleep as we're doing this. Breathing is deeply relaxing. If we come up to all fours, if you're sitting in a chair, you won't do this, but it's okay. Cross your legs over, and then we roll back over. And let's take our legs out to the front. And we do a simple movement. As we are up and straight, we take in our breath as full as we can. And then we go forward and down, exhaling, and we're allowing everything to just bend whichever way works for you. Let everything bend forward. Let's come back up. Inhaling. Full breath. Exhale, back down. Now take your hands, slide them down your legs, and with your hands holding your legs somewhere, just do a gentle, easy pull to go a little bit further. Again, inhale coming up, filling up, and feel you're straightening up, your shoulders are coming up and back. It's a full breath again, and when you go forward and down, you are compressing your lungs, you're squeezing all the air out. In the last video I mentioned lymph nodes, and we were activating this upper area. A lot of lymph nodes in here. These are the little checkpoints where the lymph is filtered and scanned and analyzed for any viruses or bugs that may have gotten into our system. We have a lot of lymph nodes down in the groin area where your legs come back into your body. So So the same thing, when we're doing this, we are squeezing the lymph in this area, we're squeezing, compressing the lymph nodes, and then letting that pressure go. So the flow of fluid is going through the lymph nodes, is being pumped through gently. These will also be scanning all the lymph and detecting anything which should not be part of us. And then they send signals to the rest of the autoimmune system to clean out something which doesn't belong. And if it's something lethal, something that can do damage like a virus, we are triggered at the autoimmune level to create an antibody designed for that specific virus to go and knock it out. I have mentioned in the past, and I'll repeat it, if you are not eating too much, if you take a day off food and you do all these breathing practices, it only takes 24 hours for your autoimmune system to kick in, figure out the new bug, the new virus, and create an antibody. In most people, this is not very functional. So the practice of yoga brings this back to life. This is why so many people are practicing yoga, to reactivate their immune system, to come back to a better standard of living, to feel better. And all of these things with the connection of breath to motion de-stress the body. Moving the body, the areas that get tight, the muscles hold the tension. So when we move them, expanding, contracting, we're getting rid of the stress. Now we're going to go into an opposite. Instead of going into the forward bend, we're going to come back into a kind of a back bend. So you lean back onto your elbows and then hang your head back, and you're propping your chest up as you do this. In breath. And then when you drop the chest down and your head comes down towards your chest, you're exhaling. Inhalation here. Exhalation. I just go sideways so you can see the chest movement here. In breath and out breath. Are you centered on feeling? Observing the sensations of everything we're doing. Observing how we synchronize breath to body movement. So as you're doing this, you can feel that you're kind of moving the area of the chest, expanding it, contracting it. We're back to the center, to the triggering of the thymus, center of our immune system. Now in yoga, there's positions that go deeper into this. So lie down completely, and we're going to go from here, taking our hands up and putting them together and bringing the hands down onto the chest. Your thumbs come right onto the sternum and your thumbnails against the sternum. Right behind, on the other side of the sternum, is your thymus gland. So the yogic side, the prana side, considers the energetic movement. And this is very, very real, very well known to the whole Eastern world. Movement of energy is quite important. And in the Chinese system of the Qi, we have acupuncture, where they using needles to create, unblock certain areas, make the energy flow more. Here we're using ourselves. Your thumbnails are actually electrodes. By placing them on top of the thymus, we take in the breath we're absorbing prana, and then you can imagine a flow of energy coming out your arms, through your hands, your thumbs, and into the thymus gland. This is an energetic technique, connecting to the breath, to prana, to reactivate an essential gland required very much in the present times. Taking in the breath, exhaling. With the in-breath, you can feel you're taking in oxygen, you're taking in prana. On the out-breath, see if you can feel an energy flowing around your arms, hands, and thumbnails into the center of your chest, where we have the thymus gland. Keep it going, a few more breaths. This might be considered a bit more advanced of a technique, more advanced than simply doing a posture, requiring more sensitivity to the energetic flow, but actually very important. Feel that you are using your full lung capacity. You are absorbing a lot of oxygen, eliminating carbon dioxide, and you have a generous energy flow moving in here to stimulate the thymus gland. I mentioned in many people it's not that functional. In yoga you learn to reactivate it, wake it up, get it back on track. This is what we're doing, and one of the prime focuses of these little morning routines. Okay, relax that one. Let's come back up to a seated position, whichever way you are comfortable. And we're going to work on the kumbhaka, which is the retention. This is an important part of the breathing. 4 parts of the breath in yogic practice and technique. There's the in-breath, the held in-breath, the out-breath, and the held out-breath. Now I have seen on the internet, and some people are claiming that the test for the coronavirus is if you can hold your breath for more than 20 seconds, you're clear. In yoga, if you can hold your breath for 20 seconds and more, you will remain clear. Because when your lungs are capable of deep breathing and retentions, they're in a good state, they're healthy, and nothing can really disturb them or infect them. So all of these things are prevention. If you have already contacted the virus, this will trigger your immune system to take care of it, and at the same time empower your lungs to stay clean, clear, and healthy. So let's try a few deep breaths, just as deep as you can. And then we're going to take the next breath and lock it in. So it's a complete expansion of everything. Your shoulders are even coming up. And then you lock and you relax the shoulders and chest without letting the breath out. So the locking is done right at the top of the windpipe. There's a little functional area called the glottis and the epiglottis that create a little lock, and it locks into place. Then you relax it, and you don't hold the breath this way, not with tension. It's completely relaxed. This is the classic kumbhaka, and used in many techniques in yoga for rejuvenation, reestablishing health, all kinds of things. Getting to higher states of consciousness which is one of the methods of changing your belief system into a more positive place. I might deal with that in a future class. 3 breaths. The third one, we'll just lock it in. Okay, full breath, lock. You might get a little bit dizzy as you're locked in this way, that's fine. If you do get dizzy, you can go right through it. If it's too much, you let go of the breath. Getting used to it, this is actually a very good sensation. The fact that you're getting dizzy means you have more oxygen rushing up to the brain, and your brain will adjust, get used to it. It forces a bit more oxygen from the lungs to the bloodstream, and that goes everywhere, including your brain, and why you get the dizzy sensation. Don't run away from it. This is a part of the process in the pranayama yoga. So let's try that again, and relax completely, and just see how long you can hold your breath. And you can practice this any time of day and observe how long you can hold your breath, and take it 1 second longer each time you do it. Okay, 3 more breaths and lock. Full shoulders up and back, lock, and drop the shoulders down. Feel, observe, notice any and all sensation. Be comfortable with it, accept it, whatever it is. How does it feel? Let it go when you're ready. Now let's follow up with just a cleansing breath, so we discharge any excess of CO2 that might be in our system. Now relax. Just an easygoing breath, and come back into your mind. And we add another little yogic principle called santosha, which means, in essence, an English translation could be a kind of gratitude. Look at what you have. Look at the comfort of the life you have, the fact that you have enough food to eat today and you enjoy that. You're in good enough health to be doing this class. You're breathing well. Be happy with what you have. Even if you don't have a job to go to today, you have time off. So feel a sense of gratitude. Look at what you can do with this extra time, which is a bonus. What do you enjoy doing? Do something enjoyable. Add this deep breathing to whatever you're doing during the day, and you will enjoy everything more. Contemplate this whole crisis as something from a more spiritual perspective, shutting down civilization from its useless activity of consumerism, to question what are we doing here and why. What is our purpose for being here? Question. Were we created here on earth just to play Monopoly? Or is there something better? Take a few more easygoing breaths and feel the sense of ease. Ease is the opposite of dis-ease. Come back to this feeling. You can come back to it with the breath as many times a day as you like. You can probably hear the sound of the bugs in the background. We're in the jungle. This is nature. Birds and bugs and bees. They're all at ease. They're not stressed about anything. We'll end our little session here. Have a peaceful and healthy day. Be happy that you are here in living form on this planet.